In Islam, the calculation of dates, events, and festivals are based upon the sighting of the moon. In the Quran, it says in 2:189, "They ask you concerning the crescent moons. Say, they are measurements of time for people and for the pilgrimage." In connection to the start and end of the month, especially significant ones such as Ramadan, the month in which Muslims fast. In Sahih Muslim 1081, Muhammad said, "Observe fast on sighting it, and break the fast on sighting it. But if the sky is cloudy for you, then complete the number." In Sahih Muslim 1080, Ubaidullah narrated on the authority of the same chain of transmitters that the Messenger of Allah made a mention of Ramadan and said, "The month may consist of 29 days, and it may be thus, thus, and thus." And he further said, "Calculate it," but he did not say 30. The rotation of the moon around the earth drives the lunar calendar, which is what the Islamic calendar is based upon. The time between two full moons is 29.5 days, and when the moon comes exactly between the sun and the earth, it is called the conjunction, and it is at this point, it is said, that a new moon is born. At the conjunction point, all of the sun's radiation is reflected back by the moon, and none reaches the earth. The moon is completely black to the naked eye and appears invisible. The time passed after the moment of conjunction is called the age of the moon. After the conjunction, the moon continues proceeding in its orbit, and the angle between the moon and the sun, as seen by an observer on Earth, elongation increases. It happens at different rates during different months because its orbit is elliptical, and hence its speed varies. As the angle increases gradually from 0 degrees, the crescent moon starts to form. A section of Muslim scholars believe that seeing the new moon with the naked eye is a prerequisite and should be the criterion for declaring the start of a new month. As the aforementioned hadith from Sahih Muslim 1081 stated, Muhammad said, "Observe fast on sighting it, the new moon, and break the fast on sighting it, the new moon." From this, they understand the term sighting as sighting the moon with the naked eye, as Muhammad and his contemporaries would have done in the absence of modern-day technology in their time. Although, as just explained, at the precise moment of the conjunction point, the new moon is not visible to the naked eye. However, another section of Muslims, primarily from countries such as Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, advocate the use of astronomical calculations. They use what is called the al-Qura calculations. It is determined using modern astronomical technology and science. For them, there is no need to visually see the moon. It is sufficient for them to use predictive-based mathematical modeling and by citing satellite forecast imagery. In this way, they argue, Islamic events, days, festivals can be predicted and planned many months or even years in advance. For example, the start of Ramadan 2022 has already been given as the 2nd of April on the basis of such predictions, and some mosques have already prepared the prayer timetables for Ramadan 2022. As there is no consensus as to how exactly the sighting and declaring of the new month is to be implemented, this issue becomes particularly polarized and highlighted when trying to determine the beginning of months such as Ramadan or predicting its end, or the Islamic New Year, and also other major events such as Hajj pilgrimage rituals which occur within a few days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. The first 10 days are important too, which is needed to be known for extra worship for the faithful. The point is, just to use Ramadan as an example here, since all these dates depend on which view is followed when it comes to sighting the new moon, one group of Muslims may fast, whilst another may celebrate Eid, in which case they are not fasting, on the basis of physically sighting the moon. whilst another based on science may not. The implication of this is severe, theologically speaking, because in a hadith Muhammad says in Sahih Bukhari 1990, narrated Abu Ubaid, I witnessed the Eid with Umar ibn Khattab, who said, Allah's Messenger has forbidden people to fast on the day on which you break fasting, the fast of Ramadan, and the day on which you eat the meat of your sacrifices, the first day of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. This means it is strictly forbidden for Muslims to fast on the day of Eid. Conversely, it is forbidden to break the fast of Ramadan and declare it as a festival day when it is not. But this is precisely what happens every year amongst Muslims. For example, to give the most recent incident, for the start of the fasting month of Ramadan in 2021, Saudi Arabia declared on Monday the 12th of April that 13th of April will be the first day of fast of Ramadan, although, as this satellite image shows, there was no possibility of sighting the crescent on the Monday when they made that announcement, even by high-powered telescopes. The decision was made according to their predetermined Saudi Arabian Qura calendar, for whom there was no requirement to physically sight it, because the satellite images show the new crescent moon will definitely be on the Tuesday. On the basis of this announcement, many Muslims around the world, in their respect for the land of Muhammad and the place of Islam's origin, began their fast on 13th of April. However, on this issue, the Muslim world is divided. In opposition to Saudi Arabia, especially those who live in the West, many Muslims follow Morocco. The division between the two countries has its origins from hundreds of years harking back from the politics of the split, infighting, and setting up rival dynasties and caliphates, breaking away from the already established Abbasid Caliphate based in the Hijaz, later called Saudi Arabia. Rival dynasties were created who controlled an area that later became Morocco and surrounding areas. At any rate, for countries such as Morocco, they follow local and actual sighting or even the possibility of physical sighting rather than predetermined technology as aids that predict dates years in advance. As a result, in 2021, Morocco announced the month of fasting in Ramadan will start on Wednesday the 14th of April, for whom it was not possible to start Ramadan according to actual sighting any earlier. For more details, see this article in Morocco World News. The full link is in the description. The issue is a cause of huge disunity amongst Muslims every single year. Here are some more articles. The full articles are in the description. In order to illustrate how bad things are, in these next articles, it says Saudi Arabia mistook the planet Saturn for the new moon. These are not isolated incidents. These are frequent mistakes. The full articles are in the description. In the Muslim Times article it says, various news agencies such as Al Arabiya and Al Jazeera have also reported that the planet Saturn has been mistaken for the Hilal crescent moon, and this means that what was announced as the first day of Eid al-Fitr was supposed to be a day of fasting rather than celebrations. Here are a few more articles about Saudi Arabia's errors and the issues and the disasters in determining major festival days over the years. The full article links are in the description. From the many articles over the years, including those already shown in the previous slides, there are reports about self-inflicted fines being issued. This one in Islamic Information says, Saudi Arabia cited wrong Eid moon and announced Eid wrong. Saudi government has paid 1.6 billion kafara for the missed fast. Pakistani news outlet 24 News claimed. 1.6 billion riyals is the equivalent of $426 million US. There are similar accounts in other articles. For example, this one in Dawn. Both these articles in full are in the description below. The term kafara and its spelling variants is a term used by Muslims to mean compensation for missing a day of fasting. Usually it involves feeding the poor. The origins of the ruling comes from Quran 2:184. The word for compensation in the verse is fidya, not the word kafara. However, there is a difference between the term the Quran uses, fidya, and the term kafara, in that if someone missed the fast but had a valid reason to do so, such as old age, illness, travel, etc., then they are to pay fidya. Whereas if someone deliberately missed or broke a fast without a valid reason, then they must pay the higher penalty, which is kafara. Here is an explanation from the Islamic Relief website about kafara. The link is in the description. The Islamic Relief website goes on to mention in the UK the kafara rate is £5 per person. This amounts to £300 for the whole month. In Islam, money can resolve most things, even misappropriating acts of worship. Allah can be appeased by simply giving money to a religious person or organization. Even in Muhammad's time, Muhammad and his companions became very wealthy. This is covered in the book Islam, the Honest Truth. At any rate, today Allah can be appeased if money is given to a mosque or charity. The reality is, many of these charities have been found out to deceive, get richer with their misplaced promises of helping the needy. Due to its lucrative rewards and the religious obligations for Muslims to give money, there is a proliferation of Muslim charities constantly being created and asking for money. Although bias is not ruled out, in the link there is a video made by a Muslim called "Are Muslim Charities Ruling Us? 100% Donation Policy X-Rayed." It talks about some of the deception Muslim charities use to get money out of the people. So in conclusion, there are disagreements and infighting amongst Muslims every year, as they cannot agree on the first day of major events such as the start and end of the month of Ramadan and other significant events. Any miscalculation, even if it is one day out, can affect which day Eid should be to which days should be the days of pilgrimage and other festivals and dates. This is a major issue because Muslims are to fast on set days in the month of Ramadan, and it is forbidden to fast on the day of Eid. But if the calculations are out, then some will inevitably end up fasting on the forbidden day, and others will be fasting in Ramadan when they should not. These miscalculations, even if it is one day out, throws the entire Islamic calendar out of sync and in disarray. In Islam, money can resolve most issues, even if a mistake is made, either deliberately or otherwise. If financial compensation is given or a penalty is paid, then the person is absolved from sin. How can a religion which claims to be ordained from God leave its followers in such disorder and disunity with unclear instructions, to the point its major festivals cannot be celebrated with certainty on any given day, or able to worship in unity amongst its adherents? How can such chaos possibly ever be instituted by a Creator God of the universe?